When people start leaving your life, when friends you thought would be there forever start drifting, you think something's wrong with you. You start questioning your worth, your value, your decisions. But let me tell you this straight. Every time your life goes to a new level, people fall off. Elevation ain't comfortable. You are not meant to carry everyone with you to your next chapter. Some people were only assigned to your life for a season, not a lifetime. And the moment that season ends, their presence fades away. That's not a punishment. That's alignment. When people leave your life and start distancing themselves, it's usually a sign that you're growing in a direction they can't follow. Most folks think losing people means they did something wrong, but the truth is the opposite. Growth creates separation, and separation creates clarity. When you begin outgrowing conversations, habits, old environments, and old mindsets, the people who are still comfortable where you used to be can't relate to where you're going. You're evolving, you're changing, you're elevating, and not everybody is designed to rise with you. Some people were perfectly aligned with who you were. They can't handle who you're becoming. Your growth exposes their stagnation, and instead of rising with you, they pull back because your progress makes them uncomfortable. The moment you start thinking differently, living differently, believing differently, the world around you shifts. People who were close may start giving you distance, not because you're wrong, because your growth is revealing the gap between who you are becoming and who they still are. And that gap gets wider the more you grow. Some people don't want to do the work you're doing. They don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to change. And they don't want to face their own truth. So instead of growing with you, they leave you. They leave because your transformation challenges their comfort zone. They leave because your ambition highlights their excuses. They leave because your evolution reminds them of the work they are avoiding. Understand something: growth is not a group project. Self-improvement is not a team assignment. You will lose people along the way because elevation requires isolation. Every time God pulls you to a higher level, He removes the wrong people so the weight doesn't break you before you arrive. You can't bring everybody into your next season because not everybody has the character, discipline, loyalty, strength to survive what you're stepping into. Some people were only meant to be with you for one chapter, not the whole book. When their chapter ends, the story continues without them. And that's okay because your story is bigger than the people who walked out. You are not losing people, you are losing limits. Every person who leaves is making space for someone better aligned with your purpose. When someone steps out of your life, it's a divine signal that you're being prepared for the next level. Growth doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels lonely, confusing, and painful. But the pain of outgrowing people is a sign that you're finally stepping into the identity you were always meant to live in. Don't chase people who walked away from a journey they were never built to finish. Let your growth speak. Let your transformation continue. The right people will match your pace, match your energy, and match your purpose. The ones who can't will naturally fall away as you keep rising. Distance from friends doesn't always mean something went wrong. Sometimes it means you're elevating in ways that no longer match where they are. People assume that when someone becomes distant, silent, or less involved, it's a sign of conflict or betrayal. But most of the time, it's not about drama. It's about growth. When your mindset starts shifting, when you start wanting better for your life, when you begin focusing on discipline, dreams, and purpose, the energy around you begins to change. And not everyone is meant to follow you into that new energy. Some friends were connected to your comfort zone, not your calling. They fit perfectly with your old patterns, your old habits, your old mindset. But once you start growing mentally, spiritually, emotionally, your frequency rises, and not everyone can rise with it. The distance you feel is not rejection, it's elevation. There comes a moment when you start valuing peace more than attention, purpose more than popularity, progress more than company. And the friends who are not moving in that same direction naturally start fading out. They're not bad people, they're just not aligned with the version of you that's emerging. When your priorities change, the people who were connected to your old priorities feel left behind. Not because you pushed them away, because life is taking you somewhere they weren't prepared to go. Distance isn't always caused by conflict. Sometimes it's caused by destiny. When you begin working on yourself, focusing on discipline, cutting bad habits, dreaming bigger, or healing from things that once broke you, your life starts to shift. You begin seeing differently, thinking differently, moving differently. And those changes make some people uncomfortable, not because you wronged them, but because you're breaking away from the version of life they remain stuck in. The more you elevate, the more noticeable the gap becomes between you and those who are standing still. That gap creates distance, and that distance is a sign you're outgrowing environments that no longer support your growth. Sometimes the people closest to you were only meant to walk with you until you discovered your purpose. Once that purpose becomes clear, path gets narrower, the noise gets quieter, and the crowd gets smaller. You cannot take everyone into a future they aren't willing to prepare for. And the friends who pull away during your elevation are simply proving they were not meant for the next season of your life. That's not loss. That's clarity. That's alignment. That's God showing you who can handle your growth and who can't. You have to learn to accept the quiet exits. Not every departure requires a confrontation. Not every distance needs a conversation. Some people step back because they sense your life is moving faster than theirs, and instead of being inspired, they feel intimidated. That's not your fault. Your only job is to keep growing, keep evolving, keep rising. The ones who are meant to stay close will grow with you. The ones who fall back were simply meant to be part of the chapter and up story. The distance is not the end. It's the beginning of a new, higher version of you. Not everyone is meant to stay for every season of your life. And the sooner you understand that, the easier it becomes to let go without losing yourself in the process. People enter your life for different reasons. Some to teach you, some to support you, some to grow with you, and some to show you exactly who you never want to become. But very few are meant to walk with you all the way to the finish line. Seasons change, and with every new season, the kind of people you need also changes. The version of you that existed 5 years ago required a certain type of circle, a certain type of mindset, a certain type of influence. But as you grow, as you learn, as life shapes you, the people who once fit you perfectly start feeling out of place. This isn't about loyalty or betrayal, it's about alignment. When your season changes, your spirit knows it before your mind does. You start feeling uncomfortable in places where you used to feel at home. Conversations that once entertained you start feeling empty. People you used to depend on start feeling distant, unpredictable, or draining. That's not a mistake. That's a signal. Life is nudging you to let go of the season that has expired. Every time you enter a new chapter, you outgrow something from the previous one. It might be a habit, a mindset, or a person, and trying to force everything from the old season into the new one is like trying to bring winter clothes into the summer heat. It doesn't fit anymore. And the longer you hold on, the more uncomfortable it becomes. You have to understand that people often expire in your life before their absence makes sense. You don't lose them because they are bad. You lose them because their role in your story is complete. Some people were meant to walk with you only until you healed. Some were meant to support you only until you found your strength. Some were meant to show you love only until you discovered self-love. And once their purpose is fulfilled, their presence fades not by accident, but by divine arrangement. You can't hold on to someone whose assignment in your life has ended. The moment you try to force people to stay beyond their season, you block the blessings meant for your next season. Life is a journey of chapters, and each chapter requires a different cast. When someone leaves, it doesn't mean your story is ending, it means your story is evolving. Growth demands release. Elevation demands separation. You cannot become who you're supposed to be while holding tight to everyone you've ever known. And as painful as it feels to lose people, it's far more painful to stay stuck in a season you've outgrown. Trust the timing. Trust the transitions. Trust that every person who exits makes room for someone whose presence will match your next level. Not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you, and that's not loss. That's destiny. The right people will stay aligned with your purpose without being forced, and that truth becomes clearer the more life tests you. When someone is truly meant to be part of your journey, you don't have to beg for their presence, chase after their attention, or constantly explain your worth to them. Real connections don't require pressure to survive. They flow naturally because they're rooted in loyalty, understanding, and genuine alignment. The people who are meant for you will recognize your growth, respect your boundaries, support your transformation, and never feel threatened by your progress. They don't compete with you, they don't envy you, and they don't distance themselves when you start becoming a stronger version of yourself. They stay because their spirit matches the direction your life is moving toward. A lot of people fall into the habit of forcing relationships to stay alive long after they've stopped serving their purpose. They beg for friendships that no longer feel supportive, hold on to people who no longer put in effort, and try to convince themselves that the history they share is more important than the future they are stepping into. But the reality is simple. What is meant for you never needs convincing. People who belong in your life won't disappear every time you evolve. They won't get intimidated when you change for the better. They won't make you feel guilty for choosing your peace, your growth, or your goals. Instead, they adjust, they grow with you, and they make room for the new version of you because they care about who you are becoming just as much as they cared about who you once were. When someone stops aligning with your purpose, the relationship starts to feel heavy. Conversations feel forced, energy feels off, and you start shrinking yourself just to keep the connection comfortable. That's the first sign that the path you're walking is no longer the same path they're choosing. And you can't drag someone into a future they aren't prepared to build. The people who truly belong in your circle won't need you to carry them. They will walk beside you, not behind you. They will put in effort, not excuses. They will show up, not disappear. And even when life gets busy or difficult, they will find a way to stay connected because alignment is effortless when the purpose is shared. Life has a powerful way of revealing who is meant for you. Pay attention to who claps for you without jealousy. Pay attention to who checks on you without needing a reminder. Pay attention to who supports your dreams even when they don't fully understand them. These are the people whose presence is aligned with your purpose. Real alignment is quiet, steady, and dependable. It doesn't fade when challenges come. It doesn't weaken when your goals get bigger. It doesn't break when you become more focused or more disciplined. The right people will fit your life without friction, and the wrong ones will fall away no matter how hard you try to hold on. The greatest peace you will ever find is in learning that alignment doesn't need force. The ones meant to stay will stay, not because you push them to, but because their soul recognizes that your journey is tied to theirs. People who are truly for you will walk with you naturally, consistently, and willingly as you keep rising. Elevation requires separation, and separation is a sign of progress, not failure. Most people don't understand this because they've been trained to believe that losing people means something is wrong. But in reality, the higher you rise in life, the smaller your circle becomes. Not because you're better than anyone, because your purpose starts demanding a different environment, different focus, and different energy. Growth isn't quiet. Growth shakes things. Growth exposes what fits and what doesn't. And one of the first things growth reveals is who truly belongs in your next chapter. You cannot elevate and hold on to everything at the same time. Something has to fall away. And most of the time, that something is people who no longer match your direction. The moment you start dreaming bigger, talking differently, and moving with intention, you'll notice people around you reacting in unexpected ways. Some get distant because your ambition makes them uncomfortable. Some stop supporting you because your progress reminds them they're standing still. Some pull back because your discipline shows them their excuses. And some simply drift away because the version of you they were attached to no longer exists. This is not losing people. This is outgrowing people. And outgrowing people is a natural part of becoming the person you were meant to be. There will come a time in your journey when you feel yourself being separated from certain conversations, certain habits, and certain relationships. It might feel lonely at first, but it's actually a sign that life is clearing your path. Separation is a form of protection. When God is preparing you for something bigger, He removes distractions. He cuts ties you were too afraid to cut. He distances you from people you were too loyal to walk away from. Not because they're bad people, because they cannot handle the blessings or responsibilities that are coming your way. Some people can deal with your struggles. They cannot deal with your success. They can walk with you in your pain, but not in your purpose. So life separates you before you get to the place they're not qualified to stand in. Separation also teaches you what real strength looks like. It teaches you how to stand on your own 2 feet, how to trust your instincts, and how to rely on your relationship with God more than your relationship with people. Too many people get stuck because they want to bring everyone with them. They're afraid to move forward if it means moving alone. But here's the truth, not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Not everyone can handle the climb. Not everyone can breathe at the altitude you're headed to. Some people's character can't survive your next level. Life separates them before the elevation begins. Pain you feel when people start leaving isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're transitioning. It's proof that you're stepping out of one season and into another. And every new season demands a new version of you. You can't carry old energy into a new chapter. You can't bring old relationships into a destiny that requires maturity, wisdom, and focus. Separation is the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. It feels uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Without it, you would stay stuck in rooms you've outgrown or tied to people who aren't growing at all. What you must realize is this: every time life separates you from someone, it's preparing to elevate you to something. The separation is the signal that the blessing is near. The separation is the sign that you're leveling up. The separation is confirmation that God sees something in your future that the people leaving your life were not built to handle. Your job is not to resist it, it's to rise with it. Keep moving forward, keep growing, keep elevating. The ones meant for your future will meet you at the top. When people exit your life, it creates room for better relationships, better energy, and better opportunities, even if it doesn't feel like that at first. Most of the time, when someone walks away, your heart focuses on the loss instead of the lesson. You think about the memories, the time invested, the loyalty you gave, and the promises that were made. What you don't see in that moment is the door that's quietly opening behind you. You don't see the new strength forming inside you. You don't see the peace that's waiting for you on the other side of that separation. And because of that, you hold on longer than you should. You question yourself more than you need to. What if the departure you're crying over is the very thing that's making space for the blessing you've been praying for? Life has a way of cleaning your circle before it elevates your destiny. You might think losing someone is punishment,